Yeah, wicked. Okay, welcome back to the Blues Focus podcast. It's a little bit later than it probably should be. Unfortunately, I had issues with the my internet last night in my uni dorm, so I'm back here, back home now to record this podcast. I think it sort of makes up for the fact that me and Zach have now both had
I know.
your audio issues and connection issues. Jeremy, you're next.
Oh, don't say that. This house is dodge at the best of
Yeah.
times.
Maybe financial issues if you go bankrupt on the Harley Dean bet tomorrow night.
Yeah, so we'll get that one out of the way. For those who don't know, I when we did the recording yesterday, I basically played the Barry Big Bollocks and said I am confident we're going to win 1-0. Nardi Dean scored, and then as a man of my word, I'm going to back it and put a fiver on at Paddy Power tomorrow. Apparently, it's 166 to 1. So if you
That
see
would be
Harley Dean
unbelievable.
take the lead tomorrow, and you see some fan probably with his top off screaming, it's probably me in Cop Corner.
Oh man, you know what you should write? You should write like I got a bet right or something on your chest as well.
I will get a tattoo. I will spend some of that money on a Harley Dean tattoo somewhere on my arm. I got a bit of space on my arm, so I'll get something.
Oh,
That's if we win 1-0 and Harley Dean scores, isn't it?
yeah,
Yeah.
Are you
yeah.
not tempted just to go if he scores the first goal?
Man, I'm going in.
You're going to go all in.
You're
Oh,
going
all
full
out.
send, ain't you?
I like it. I
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it.
How frustrated would you be if it looks like Harley Dean scored? You're doing all the celebrations. You find out later it come off Sanderson's toe or whatever on the way in.
Oh,
Dean
Hogan's
heads it
just
down,
hit it
and
off his
yeah.
arse, slide into the top
Oh,
corner.
imagine.
You,
Oh,
and you know
honestly.
what? I'd still be happy with the win, but you know it is what it is. I'd still cry at Paddy Power and be like, "Come on,
Let's just call it quits. Give us
I know
500,
it,
you know. Yeah. Oh man. Well, look forward to that. If that's look forward to next week's podcast. If Jamie suddenly gets that one coming in, then that'll be fun. But yeah, it's been it's kind of weird for us because we have already recorded this podcast. So to sort of talk about it again is strange. But we'll start again. Hull on Sunday, nearly said Saturday. I mean, like how where did that come from? Really, it was like we never win at Hull. It's been our first win there for 13 years, is it? I
Mm-hmm.
think nobody was really expecting this. Jamie, I mean, like, give us your thoughts on the game on Sunday.
I think watching it from obviously home because I'm an Archer fan who isn't making that trip to Hull because you know effort, and it was a lot of people would have gone bogey team. Do I feel like we're going to win? Probably not. Do I feel like I would have painfully get up on a Sunday and watch that? You know, and I've got a commitment, I've got a life. I was like, no, probably not this time. Regretted didn't go. We started really well. First 10 minutes took a bit of pressure, but I think it was an overall very professional performance. Defensively, we were class. You know, I can't really fault anything that happened. You know, we'll touch on Troy's penalty and his second one, but these things happen. You know, it was nice to see a ref that actually gave a foul and a penalty for someone being pulled down because the amount of times that
Mm,
happens to us is a joke.
yeah,
Jukovic, it happens last season, and not all the time we've had Jukovic. I'd say at
yeah,
least 100 times he's been pulled.
Yeah, I completely agree. Jukovic is always one of those players that attracts so many fouls but never seems
Yeah.
to get them, does he? And
mm,
it's so frustrating, but it is nice. It was nice to see a referee actually give a decision in our favour when a player's big. Because we've got a big squad, haven't we? We're often getting tugged and pulled all over the place, some of those players. It was nice to see him give that decision.
And it's
mm.
good to see set pieces turning up good for us as well now. Like you can see
Yeah,
they're clearly being worked on. And you can see I
100%.
love Hannibal and I love Chong and I love the delivery they have. Like they just put it
Mm.
in that position where the defenders don't like it.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, because in the past, I think we've really struggled for set piece takers, haven't we? It's normally been one of the gardeners standing over free kicks or corners or whatever, but it's really nice. I think we said this last time actually, but it's really nice to have Chong taking the in swingers on one side and then Hannibal on the other taking the in swingers on the other side because they're always so much more dangerous when a corner's in swinging towards the keeper,
oh,
aren't they? So to
absolutely,
have a
yeah.
left footer on one side and a right footer on the other, it's perfect for us.
Yeah.
Because Chong's left-footed, is he?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Chong's a
left
lefty.
footed. Yeah, and
And
his
then
corners
Hannibal's
have
right,
been
yeah,
have been brilliant. I mean, he's been assisting so well recently. He got two against Bristol City, one at the weekend. He even assisted that Troy Deeney second penalty as well, didn't he? So he's
yeah.
been brilliant recently, brilliant. But we'll ignore Troy Deeney's second penalty. We'll talk about the first one. Let's just
Yeah,
focus on that one.
Yeah.
Focus on that one.
we'll talk about the first one, which was the most devastating. I didn't think a man could generate that much power in his right foot.
He
Like
really is
Beautiful.
a big
I
guy,
said this
isn't he?
last
Yeah.
night. I blinked I literally blinked and it was in the top of the net, and I was like,
Yeah.
"What have I just seen?" Like
Yeah, it's
the
classic.
keeper, poor keeper. Like his
Got
face
no
was
chance.
just like, "Nope."
Yeah, from 12 yards out with that power, you've got absolutely no chance in hell of saving it, have you? I mean, this is the thing we said though. It's a risky game when you go to smash a penalty, isn't it? Because you know you're sacrificing the accuracy, but obviously in return you're getting a very powerful penalty, which very few keepers will save. So first penalty there was it's typical Troy Deeney penalty, wasn't it? It was brilliant.
Yeah, he nearly took the net off with it, didn't he?
I know. I'm surprised there wasn't a hole in the net after it, to be fair. But yeah, it was honestly, world class penalty. I love a player who doesn't mess about with penalties. I often see when, I mean, Jorginho's class at them, but the hop and skip just always worries me when watching it or something.
Lyle Taylor last season.
I know Lyle Taylor, the start.
Yeah.
I mean, it works most of the time, but it makes your heart just stop, doesn't it? But a player who just smashes the ball in the back of the net. I love it. Love it.
I don't mind the casual walk up of Lyle Taylor and Ivan Toney does it. What I do mind is, like you said, your Jorginhos or your Rashford in the Euros when he did a 14-step run up like prime Paul Pogba and then shimmied and then missed. Like,
I
it's
know.
the shimmy that annoys me because it's like you're stopping all your momentum walking up to a ball here, lads. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good point you raise, actually. Yeah, because it's like, it's the delay that you give, really. It's not with like I suppose with Taylor did it a little bit, but with Deeney and I suppose if we're talking about England as well, when you look at the Sancho and Saka misses, they just stepped up and took them. It wasn't like with Rashford where he took forever to take for it. It's like if you miss now, it's going to be even worse, and obviously he did. But I think when you score, it doesn't matter, of course. But if you miss, it's a big issue. But if you just run up to it and miss it, like Deeney did on the second one, it's kind of like, yeah, whatever. At least you didn't mess about with it and just ran up and hit it. You give the goalkeeper less time to think as well when you do that.
yeah,
I love. God, I was just gonna say I loved on Instagram as well. Deeney he was having fun with his second penalty miss, like the ball going on the boot. I love that. I love.
took it like a champ.
Yeah,
he can be frustrating to watch sometimes, but as much as he can be, I love his personality. I love him off the pitch. It's class act. But no, that was funny to see as well.
Anybody see the footage of him wrestling Jordan James as well? Is it
No,
Jordan
I
James?
haven't seen that. I
Is it
haven't
on
seen
Twitter?
that yet.
Jesus
I haven't
Christ. I
seen
mean,
that.
like he just grabs his arm and bends him over his knee. It's like flipping heck. That guy is
Yeah,
strong.
they seem to have a good relationship, don't they? They did a video a week or two back where they were talking about just the pair of them talking, taking the mick of Jordan James's haircut, calling it a thatched roof or whatever. So they do seem to have good chemistry between them, don't they? But yeah,
The
they're
beauty
both
of
class
us at the
acts.
minute, like the whole team, isn't it? At the minute, everyone's
Yeah.
just getting on, and you can see even from the football pitch itself when we're playing, like anyone tries to take the mick or anyone tries to be overzealous with any of them kids, man, and Troy is on it.
Yeah.
He's
I
literally
love that
at
about
them.
him. Yeah.
Like, he's having absolutely none of it.
Yeah, he's that player that we should have we should have had him ages ago. And I feel like
5 years ago.
yeah, without a doubt. And I always refer back to when Jude Bellingham got picked on by Mitrovic for us that season. And like nobody aside from Lee Camp had like the balls to go up to him and tell him, mate, get lost. You know, who are you? Especially when you're picking on a young kid in his teenage years. You know, it's kind of like Deeney goes over and he sorts it out because nobody messes with Troy Deeney. But if Lee Camp comes over, it's kind of like, mate, who are you as well? It's like, there's not
And
that.
it's awkward being aggressive against someone who's put 4 past you probably already. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I
think
know.
Paul's against us though.
What I do like about Deeney as well is I don't know if you notice it, but most of the time after a Blues goal, he celebrates, but then he's constantly talking to the players as well. I don't know if that's something you picked on, but even after his penalty at the weekend, can't remember who he was talking to, but he's always making sure the team don't get too ahead of themselves, if you're not.
yeah,
I mean, he's
he's
always
G'ing them,
keeping
and
them grounded. Yeah, he's such a great leader. It's so nice to have him on the pitch, you know, just because we do have a fairly young squad. So just that extra experience and leadership, it's great to have, isn't it?
It's
that mentality's never been in doubt. I don't think. I think he's always been trying and been put his effort in. It's like I say, it's just his sort of age and his physicality. which is in no doubt, really, because he's still a beast of a man. I mean, he can still pull Jordan James over his knee like he's his little kid or something. But
Big brother him.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, the man's a scary dude, he really is. I just think that when it comes to football and the cardio and agility, you can't keep up as what you probably could used to, because there's fitter and stronger and faster younger players in the championship now, and it's the perfect breeding ground for loads of those big teams who have sort of brought them through their academy to give to the championship now.
I think so. I think you're right, 100%. Here's an interesting point because Troy's out of contract, any from the summer. He only signed 2 years. Do you give him another year? I personally would.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think it's wise. It's like that Michael Morrison situation, isn't it? An older player who's asking for what? Was it a year he was asking for, or 2 years? And we didn't give it him, and now we're really in trouble with it. Well, we were in trouble with it before we got Trusty and Sanderson, but we look okay now. Yet it'd still be good to have him in the team because we wouldn't have to refer to playing, I don't know, Colin at centre back and putting Bacuna at right wing back. So I feel like it's the same with Deeney. Yes, we could get better strikers, but we've already got a good striker in Deeney. So just give him another year and then we'll work on that down the line. So I think that's pretty much my opinion on that. What do you think, Zach?
Yeah, I completely agree. I think you can tell when players are really at their end. One player I'd say at the moment who just does seem like he's probably on his last season is Djukovic at the moment. He comes on and he looks all right, but you can tell he's really coming towards the end of his career. So at the end of the season, whether I don't know anything happens with Djukovic, whether he stays on, I don't know. But there seems with Troy Deeney, you can see there's still a bit more in the tank, can't you? He's not the player he was, but that he's still got more to give. And not just this season, he could easily go on for maybe another year or two before he probably gets to the stage where someone like Juki is, where you can really tell he's on his final legs. But if I was the board, yeah, I'd give him another year and then at the end of the following season, assess it from there.
100%. I don't think any other team is interested in getting Deeney either, though. That's the thing.
No,
So it's not like a player that's in demand. I feel like we'll keep
I just
hold
thought
of
it was
him.
interesting. I thought it was an interesting kind of concept to be like, I think he's earned another year. Like the way he's done this
100%,
season, his performances, his work rate, and the way he captains that team, 100%. But alas, back onto Hull. You mentioned it actually, Tommy. Bacuna at right wing back. Thought he was phenomenal.
I know it's really weird to say that. It's like I don't know. I questioned the lineup when it first came out. I looked at this and thought, right, we must be playing a 4-4-2 of some kind and sort of moving the midfield about a bit. But I didn't realise we were moving the back five around. I don't think any of us got it right. None of us predicted to put Bacuna at right wing back, did we?
No.
So
I was literally looking at the team trying to work it out. At one point in my head, I was like, it's got to be Bealey because the third centre back. It's got to be. And then when I saw Bacuna walking over to the wing at the start of the game, I was like, he's actually playing wing back.
Yeah, well, I mean, when I first saw they released the lineups at 1:00, I assumed it was the four. I saw Longolo, Colin, Trusty, Dean. I thought that would be the four. I thought it'd be Bacuna, Bielik, Hannibal, Chong in behind the two strikers, Dean and Hogan. That's what I thought it would be. But no, Bacuna at right wing back and obviously did a sterling job, didn't he?
Fantastic,
and that all comes down to, again, Eustace is a very good manager. And I think we've got a very, very, very good manager on our hand, boys. I really do. Like,
completely agree. Sorry, go on, Jake. I was just gonna say, I before I forget, his adaptability is just brilliant. Like we saw it under Boya and Karanka, such stubbornness. If something wasn't working, it didn't matter; it would stay the same. But Eustace is so happy to change things, try something different. I mean, after the 3-0 against Bristol City, I know, of course, Sanderson was suspended, but I literally expected like a straight swap for someone. I didn't expect him to really move the pitch around, really move players around, but he did. And once again, it paid off. This ability to just change if things are needed. He's happy to do that. And it just worked brilliantly, didn't it?
Fantastically, yeah. I
like the way we play as well, like in terms of start of that second half. We're 1-0 up, like we need to try and stop that momentum, and Bacuna just does that.
I know,
and that's the only way you can describe it, is that, like, that absolute bullet on his weaker foot.
I really appreciate that sort of mentality though when you're at a game. I might have mentioned this on a podcast previously, but that willingness to continue and continue to punish the opposition as well. To get at them. And there's something that can be said about Bacuna taking that shot on as well, because there's options on. If he shoots, the keeper's most likely to save it. But I always think taking a shot is always worth it. Che Adams, when we had him, Che Adams was like always shooting every single time he got the ball, just have a shot on target. And that's why he scored so many goals that season, because the keeper was off, not focusing, and he's suddenly having to face the ball coming towards him, and most times he didn't save it. So I feel like, particularly the way that who was it? Was it James Beattie was the sort of striker coach at the time?
Coach, yes, it was.
Yes, like that's like, I feel like more we can implement that. Just shoot on sight. As soon as you get a sight of the goal, have a crack. And we can trouble teams. I really think that's true.
Yeah, I completely agree. It frustrates me watching sometimes some of these teams that like to move the ball around a lot and almost walk the ball into the goal. I think countless time these days we see players in good opportunities to shoot and they just don't, and they look for that extra pass and then nothing comes of it. So I love it when a player just isn't afraid to take a shot at goal.
That's how it should be though. Like it does, like you guys, it does. It's the most frustrating thing in the world. Like, I'm gone are them days of us, hopefully. Like, it's nice seeing you players like Bielik taking snapshots on the edge of the box and just Hogan getting in there and Deeney having a crack every so often. Like, that's how it should be. Just have a dig.
Yeah.
You're all professional footballers. You all know where the net is. Just have a crack.
Yeah.
Particularly for the fans that we are as well. When we're like, we love a Kifton Beld, we love a Hannibal, we love a proper good British type of striker in Deeney and Duke. We love getting behind them and all everything. Getting into mean tackles and everything. So bring that sort of attitude back to the club. Just sort of like shoot on sight and have a crack at everything. Gets the fans into it. I mean, like we sing "fuck 'em up, get into them" every single game. So it's like the fans want what we can expect from these players. And I think that's sort of why we're getting a good connection with them. It's because we can relate to them a lot, really. Because you see the players we've had before, and they're technical and they're quiet and they're shy. They don't really fit into the club as much as they would with other players. So when you get players like Hannibal, it's no wonder they're coming over to the fans and thinking, yeah, this is wicked, because we're going, he's wicked as well, just flying into challenges, being reckless. It's like, yeah, go on, get stuck in. It's fantastic.
Like most players go mad when they get a yellow card and stuff. Like managers on touchline are going mad. Whereas if Hannibal slacks someone for a yellow card and it's a good tackle, it's like, go on, fucking yes,
Fucking
I know, it's brilliant in it. But that's the thing that I think that sums up the Championship to a T, because in the past we have got some of these players who are a bit more technical, a bit more dribbly, and more often than not, they tend to not work. You need those physical players. You need those players who aren't afraid to go in for a challenge, because it's one of the most physical leagues in the world, isn't it? If you're a skinny, frail player and you're coming on and trying all these different skills in the Championship, we've seen managers try to implement it in the past, particularly Zola, who wanted that sort of tick-a-tack type of football. It just doesn't work, does it?
And I don't think we played even particularly bad under Zola. I just think that's... and there's other managers who've tried it before as well, who have done okay with it in the Championship. I think you've just got to have like the best players in the league to do that. When 100%. Leeds got promoted, they had all the best players in that league, and it was you knew they were going up. Whereas with us, you've got to be... I don't know, you've got to be a bit safe sometimes with us, particularly within the battle we are. I think the owners have been a bit naive in thinking that they can bring in all these technical players who are very good players. And I do feel that they've done some good business there, but they've not understood or read the team very well, because of the players we already have, the fans we have, and also the demands that you need to meet when you're battling down the bottom of the Championship. You need those players to go and win some challenges, get the crowd on their feet, and then everything will sort of fit into place. And then when you've develop the team well enough, then you can bring in the technical, nice players, but still have that bit of physical with it. So I don't know, it's something to keep in mind, of course. It's always great to have somebody who's really technical and tricky feet and that. And I feel like that's why I was a little bit disappointed to lose Sanchez, because although he wasn't really settling in and he missed Spain, I feel like, he still had a lot to give for us. And it's unfortunate that he didn't think that and he wanted to go back to Spain. So yeah, I mean, Chong is probably our best on the ball player, or is it Bacuna?
Yeah. No, I'd agree. I think personally on the ball, I think Chong's are. I'd give Quaheta a shout as well, because at wing back, Quaheta is brilliant at bringing the ball forward, and I think certainly at the start of the season when we were missing the likes of Hannibal in the midfield and Bielik because he was injured, and before we got Chong in, he was one of the only players in that team who would be willing to bring the ball forward. Don't get me wrong, I think Chong is the best on-ball player at the club. Then I'd agree Bacuna as well, but I think Borheta deserves a shout as well. I think every time I've watched Borheta, I've been pretty impressed with him.
I agree. However, I don't see how Plaheta fits back into this team now with
No, I
Longelo,
agree
how
with
he
that as
is.
well.
I
Yeah.
think I unfortunately see either Placheta or however we're going to say his name. I unfortunately see him either just sitting on the bench for the rest of the season, getting a start ball 20 minutes, or Norwich will just end up calling him back because we're not playing him.
I think
agree.
that second option will happen.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. I think Longelo's really sort of cemented himself now, hasn't he? And just shown that he's that solid option at wing back. Maybe he doesn't take the ball forward as well as Borheta. I'd argue he doesn't. But I think defensively he just offers a little bit more. Good at crossing as well. I've been impressed with some of the balls he's whipped into the box. So yeah, I agree. I think Borheta will either stay the season, get 20 minutes here or there, maybe the odd cup game, or Norwich will call him back.
Yeah, it's one of them. Go on.
Yeah, just before we move on to the Burnley game, the up-and-coming Burnley game tomorrow night, I'd just like to say, and this can be a little bit of a talking point, how impressed I've been with how quickly we've adapted. I think that sort of touches on what you were saying earlier, Zach, and how well Eustace can adapt to different things and different styles of football. But Longelo, he's played, 4 games for us, maybe?
Yeah.
Already we're suggesting that he is fitting into the team, like he's the go-to option. I mean, although we don't have particularly the most players in that left wing back role, and obviously he's going to fit in there anyway, it's not like he's come in and he's been like, oh, we're going to have to play him because he's just the only left back we've got. He's come in and he's gone, yeah, pretty solid, pretty decent. I mean, like other players, any spring to mind of that, who's really fitted in really quickly?
I don't think as much as Longelo. I think you're right. I think Longelo has fitted into the team extremely, extremely quickly. He's a player that, it sounds harsh, but a lot of the time, if I don't notice a player too much, the chances are they're doing their job very well. He's a player that doesn't do anything incredibly special. You don't see anything unbelievable from him, but he does his job. He does what he has to do, and he goes home. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, Longelo for me has probably been the player who cemented himself the quickest out of the new boys who have come to the club.
Him or Bielik. Like Hannibal took his time, but once Bielik got obviously fit enough to play for us, like from the moment he played against Preston, you were just like, shit me, he needs to play every game. And then when Eustace is saying he's only 50% fit, and you're like, oh my god, what is this player going to do? Like,
yeah, completely agree. Both of them, to be fair, because I do remember that Bielik's first game. Yeah, he really stood out and impressed, didn't he? And he's just continued to do so. So both of them, to be fair, both of them look like great players. Bielik's exactly the same. Doesn't do anything special. Just does his job really well. Goes about his business. He's fantastic, isn't he?
Yeah.
It's mad. It's amazing to think. It's a little bit depressing to think we might lose him in the winter.
We're not going to lose him. We're going to somehow strike a deal with Derby. I'm just praying that we're going to do something about this.
If Derby chairman, leave us alone, right? Let us have
go
for
away
the rest of the season.
Yeah, you can have Sunjic. I will drive him personally to Derby for you. Take Ivan Sunjic.
Are you at uni at Derby, Zach?
I am. I'm at Derby Uni at the moment, so I'll find the manager and I'll put in a good word for him. To be fair, Derby played. I was at the Derby City under-21s game tonight, and they got battered 3-1. So City under-21s, I didn't expect them to be that good. But I was saying to Jamie before the podcast, actually, City under-21s had a 17-year-old lad scored a hat trick for them. Looked absolutely unreal. I mean, if we could get him on loan or something, I think he'd fit into the Blues team, no problem. But in terms of Bielik, I'll go speak to the gaffer tomorrow and see what he's saying.
Just threaten him. Just go up to him and go, listen, Bielik, he's ours. Leave him alone.
Yeah, we're gonna have some problems if you don't let us keep him. So I'll see what he's saying tomorrow.
Make a fat Tony deal with him.
Yeah.
Anyway, talking about. Just get on with it. Burnley tomorrow night. Jamie, your thoughts have already been very cemented in this podcast about what you think is going to happen tomorrow night.
I'm just oozing confidence, and I know I probably shouldn't be, because even though they are now technically second in the league, at the time were coming in against pretty much top of the league.
Yeah,
They're phenomenal, and they move the ball great. It's our toughest test of the season.
100%.
And I know we've
Yeah,
dealt with Watford. I know we've had Norwich, we've had Watford, but this is the test of the season so far.
100%. Yeah, I agree. I think, yeah, it's a season-defying game. That's what I've written in the podcast running order. Because we talked about this a little bit on the podcast last night. This is one of those games where if we win, I feel like we can even potentially look at having a very late playoff push to an extent. It might seem a little bit unrealistic, but I mean, you look at the teams that we've been playing against recently in our recent form and over the rest of the games of the season. Strong performances against all of the top teams in the league and beating the teams that we should be beating as well, apart from the odd two against Wigan and Rotherham. But again, if we lose tomorrow night, I don't think it's the other way around. I just think that it's not going to be the season that we probably could imagine it to be, So I don't know, Zach, what are your thoughts on tomorrow night? Is it going to be, if we win, what's it going to be? And if we lose, what's it going to be for the rest of the season?
It's an interesting one, and I think we're still in very early stages, very early days of the season still. So I think whatever happens tomorrow, I think, yeah, you're right. Tomorrow is the biggest test we've had so far this season. I think whatever happens, it certainly doesn't define necessarily how the rest of the season's going to go. Because, I mean, I remember after the Wigan game, I remember making my reaction video to it and everyone just saying, oh, we're going down. That's it. It's over. But now look at us, like probably a month down the line, and we're speaking completely differently. And not to bring a downer on things, but in another month's time, we could be talking differently. So football changes so quickly. Certainly, however tomorrow goes, I think it will give us a good idea of where we're at, compared to the top teams. I mean, yesterday when we first recorded the podcast yesterday, I think I said 1-1, but over the last 24 hours, as we're getting closer, my confidence is just growing as well. I had a mate ask me what I think today. I said 2-0 Blues, and I said I'd put a 5. Maybe I should put a bet on as well. 2-0 Blues. Screw it, why not? Just because I think we're just playing so well at the moment. The teams, I shouldn't say it's almost irrelevant who we're playing, because Burnley are doing very, very well themselves at the moment. But I just think the way we're playing at the moment and the type of team we look, I genuinely think on our day we could beat anyone.
Yeah, I completely agree. I made a prediction last night, when we were recording, after a dream I had, and I remember saying Burnley will score first, and then we'll get 2 goals in very quick succession. I do feel now, though, after I've thought about it, after I've had another sleep on it, I thought maybe not. Actually, I feel like I just don't know about it. I feel like the Burnley being top of the league, and obviously I'm basing this off, nothing because the game hasn't been played yet. But I just feel like they're top of the league, and they're a team that when I've seen them this season, they just do their business. It's one of those teams that I feel like we're gonna have to, like, if we're gonna win tomorrow night, it's gonna have to be the toughest and best performance we've seen at St Andrews for a long, long time, I feel, because Burnley under Vincent Kompany, I feel like they've got the attitude that he sort of embraces almost, if you know what I mean. Like it's his sort of way of doing things, and I feel like he's been like a Premier League winning captain how many times, and like with the team mentality like that, we've obviously got Deeney, but obviously just at that level, I feel like it's going to be so hard for us to break him down. I don't know. It's going to be difficult to see us winning. But I'm feeling the optimism from Jamie. So I will stick to my prediction of 2-1 Blues. But I'm not ruling out the fact that we could lose tomorrow night. That is, and it's a Wednesday night game as well, not a proper Saturday game. So it's going to be a bit of a weird game anyway. But I want to be optimistic. That's definitely what I'm thinking. I'm not ruling out the fact that Burnley causes trouble.
Sorry, please.
You're joking on my bullshit. Oh, fucking hell, Zach, man. Come on. We've only got 10 minutes left.
I think tomorrow definitely comes down to defence. And it's just, it's one of them going on the last 2 games. I just don't see how we're going to concede. Like, Hull had that incredible header, and then Ruddy goes across the goal and saves it like he's a 21-year-old absolute don again in goal.
Salmon
Like,
out of water, yeah.
oh man, what a save! Like, I think tomorrow, because if I'm right, Burnley play a 4-2-3-1.
Mm.
So I think tomorrow comes down to Bielik as well, like in terms of because they play a lot off that central attacking mid kind of through the middle play. So if Bielik's on his point, hopefully we can keep him quiet.
Yeah. Sorry, boys, I was dying. Still am.
Sounds like you still are.
My God. I still think we're going to win 1-0.
1-0. Yeah.
I think it's going to be a dog-end performance. Like, it's just going to be gritty. They're just going to be sending crosses into the box. They're going to be trying everything. And it's going to be, we haven't had, it's been 2 weeks now, boys, since we've had an uncomfortable moment as a Blues fan, really. So I suppose we deserve to have 45 minutes to an hour of just absolutely shitting ourselves at every time Burnley get the ball.
Yeah, it's about our time. I was looking, though, at the league table. Burnley have, my God, Burnley have drawn. I don't know what's going on, boys. I can't speak. Burnley have drawn 7 games this season. So, I mean, although I think they're second in the league now. Yeah, second in the table now. They are drawing a lot of their games. So as high up as they are struggling to pick up wins. They've won 6 games out of 14. So they're doing very well, of course, but they are, they're not winning every single game. So as tough as Burnley will be, I still do think it is a good opportunity for us to pick up at least a point.
Have they lost this season?
They've lost.
Yes, opening day of the season, 2-1 to Huddersfield.
No,
no,
right.
I'm a lion. Yeah. That's I put up Huddersfield results, and that's from January in the FA Cup.
Oh, right. So
have they lost this season?
They've lost once. To who, I'm not sure. Let me have a look.
I don't think they have.
They've lost 1.
Oh yes, they have 1-0 to Watford. It was a 90th minute winner, if I believe.
Yes, I do remember this now. Yeah. So they have lost this season. So to put another 1 on that one wouldn't be too bad. Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be an interesting. I'm hoping for it to be a really exciting game. I don't want it to be like one of those 4-0 Burnley ones and people are leaving in the 70th minute. I want it to be exciting. I want it to be.
I think it'll be close. I don't think they're gonna landslide us at all.
No,
I mean,
and I hope
would
not
I
either.
take the world's most boring game and then Jukovic to like hit it off his back of his head or something, or ricochet off his thigh? Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I'd take a boring 0-0 if I'm being honest with you. As a Birmingham fan, I'd just not take losing against one of the top teams in the league. But on our day, like Zach said, we can beat anyone.
Yeah, 100%. I think we said it yesterday as well. For me, I do not care how we do things as long as we're putting the points on the board. I don't care if it's the scrappiest 1-1, scrappiest 0-0. As long as we're picking up those points. I think it's really important tomorrow that we don't lose a game, and that sounds so obvious to say, but just to keep a bit of a streak going of not losing games and picking up points, I think is so important. So, I mean, I'd love a 3-4-0 win tomorrow, but if we can pick up a 0-0 or a 1-1 against such a good Burnley side, I'll be absolutely buzzing.
100%, yeah.
And
well, it all does
sound screaming.
Yeah, it all does sound. It all does sound very positive, maybe a bit too positive in Jamie's case. But one last thing, which I forgot to, we forgot to put this a bit further on in the podcast last night, but David Cottrell's comments on the podcast he did recently. We'll touch on this very quickly because we have only got a few minutes left. I mean, the person he's alluding to, I mean, Jamie, you said it was like,
there was 14 players that he signed. And then, so, do you want me to quickly go into it, long and short of it?
Short a little bit, yeah.
David Cottrell basically is on a podcast. I can't remember which podcast it is, but there's a snippet, a little soundbite of it's gone online with him saying he was doing some running training to get back to fitness. Harry Redknapp comes out and says, "What do you think of this midfielder here?" And he goes, "Well, I mean, there's no one marking him. Of course, he can pass the ball decently, but in his head, he's thinking he's pretty shit." And then Harry Redknapp goes, "Oh yeah, imagine I've signed the wrong player and I put him on fucking 40 grand a week."
Yeah.
Now, if you look at the 14 players that have been signed for Birmingham City under the Redknapp era, the only one, and he's probably a really nice guy, but the only one who's shit at football there is Czech Ndiaye. So if someone can find a fathomable explanation as to why Czech Endoy is on 40 grand a week, and how do you not check you've signed the right player?
mental to
Redknapp.
think. Go on, Tommy.
Oh, okay. Harry Redknapp, I think at the time when he was sacked, it was like it was the owner's fault, for signing all those players. In hindsight, and this is not me defending the owners in the slightest, because they've been very naive and very stupid in the business they have let people do. I feel like a lot of the blame lies on him now, really, for that transfer window. He's gone in there, he's thought, I can get this team back to how it was just through money, and he's not got the players that he wanted to, so he's gone and got other players for ludicrously amounts of large cash, and he's paid the price for it. Really, he's been sacked.
And it
from
ain't the
Blues.
first time. Have you seen Redknapp's bloody resume? I think the only two teams he's taken over that haven't gone into financial difficulty are Tottenham and QPR.
QPR were in trouble for a bit. Was it QPR? Was it Reading? No, it was QPR. Yes, yeah, because Bobby Zamora, when he scored that goal to put them in the Premier League, was the one that sort of saved them, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Is that Reading?
Yeah.
I can't remember now.
I think it was Redknapp.
Yeah, I knew it was Redknapp. I didn't know if it was QPR or Reading though. That they was
I don't think he's ever managed Reading. I'm willing to be wrong on that. I know he's managed QPR. Because obviously my best mate's a Pompey fan, so the day we signed Redknapp permanently, he texted me and he was like, "Be careful," and I was like, "Nah, he's all right. We've only signed him to the end of the season." And then on deadline day, we made about 8 signings, or how many was it, 14 or something stupid. He texted me and he was like, "Here we go." I was like,
Yeah. I remember thinking at the time, how on earth are we going to afford all these players? Because, I mean, recently, in the last 10 or so years, or even longer than that, we have not been in a good financial position once.
No.
So the fact we were signing all those players and Czech and Doy for 40 grand a week, that is just ridiculous. He is the worst player in the last 10 years I've seen in the blue shirt. And he's probably been on the most amount of money. It's whoever made that decision, it's an absolute joke, honestly. Because I question if when Redknapp was making all those signings, part of me did question, is it actually him making all those signings? Do you know what I mean? I know Don Wren at the time, he was certainly contributing in some sort of way to transfers, it seemed. Who knows? But whoever made the decision to chuck him on 40 grand a week, ridiculous, honestly.
I will leave you on this final thought. Czech Endoy was on over £2 million a year at Birmingham City. I'll leave you with that.
And on that note,
ridiculous.
Just leave a little cliffhanger there for you to think about. That's what this podcast is all about, getting thought-provoking and all that. No, it's not. It's just rattling on about the Blues, it's facing. But thank you for tuning into this episode of the Blues Focus podcast. It's been very good to be joined by Zach and Jamie again. Yes, I did say that right. My brain just suddenly thought, no, that's not right. But yeah, I've been pleasured to be joined by Jack and Jamie again. So it's been the Blues Focus podcast. I need to go and have a cup of tea and fall asleep for a bit. And Jamie's doing the face that I was doing last night when it froze as well. Keep right on.
Keep right on.